All right, hello. Another short lesson and another lesson talking about articles, right? We've got the, a, or an, right? So we're going to talk about this today. Now, we've learned and talked about the ways how and when you can use the. You can use a or an, why we use them that way. But do you always need to use they, the, a, or an before a noun? So, you know, it's a good question. Do I always need to use one before a noun? And the answer is no. You do not need to always use an article before a noun. So you don't always have to say the dog, an hour, or a fish, right? You can use certain nouns without having to use any of those articles. Um, so we're going to talk about something, and I'm going to tell you the name of it, but you don't need to remember the name of it as much as you need to remember how to use it. So what we call this in English is called the null article. And null is another word in English for zero or none or no. Um, so we use no article, right? So that's the other thing that's weird to think about is when you do not use something, how is it that you are using no article? That doesn't make sense. But um, there always is a spot in front of a noun for an article to be. And in some cases in English, instead of writing or saying the, a, or an, you don't use an article because of how you're speaking about something. So when you want to talk about a category or group in general, so what does category mean? Category means like it's like a section of something, or it's basically like a group, right? It's lots of something. There's lots of the same thing. So in those cases, when you're talking about that, do not use an article. Now, so what do I mean by a group or a category? So if you're talking about dogs, right? So if you said dogs make good pets, since you are talking about dogs as a whole group, not just you're talking about one, or um, like a specific one, you would use the, or if you just were talking about general, right? You said, I want a dog. It doesn't have to be a certain dog, but it still just has to be one dog, right? Um, uh, but when you say you don't use an article before the word dogs and you say dogs make good pets, you're talking about all of the dogs, just dogs in general. Dogs as a group, dog as a category, right? Dogs make good pets. But you can use the same word, dogs, and use the in front of it. So the reason you know which one to use is you think about how you're talking about them. So if I said the dogs across the street are cute, it means that I'm talking about specific, right? The dogs, right? But when we say dogs make good pets, the reason we don't use the, or you would say a dog, is because you're talking about them as a whole group. This sentence, the dogs, I'm trying to tell you about a specific dog. Um, if I said, I want the dog at the shelter, that's a specific dog. But if I said, um, there are lots of dogs, that's general, but I'm still using there are lots of uh there are lots of dogs. So like there's lots of dogs being, I don't use the or a or an. Lots of dogs. Dogs make good pets. I'm talking about them as a group. Using the or a or an is talking about them in a way that's more specific and general. And general meaning you're still talking about one, right? A single one. So it's still kind of specific. All right, so another example. Apples. Oh, that was not a good writing, but not a good line. Apples. Apples make a great snack. So you're not talking about one apple. You're not talking about a specific apple. You're just saying all of the apples make a great snack. And that's why you don't use an article. Um, but if you were going to say an apple, if you wanted to talk about something, like you want someone to bring you one, you would say, "Can you grab me an apple?" Because if you said, "Can you grab me apple?" they would be like, "Grab you apple? Like all of the apples? Apple, like just any apple? Which one?" If you just say an apple, it just means one of all of the apples that are there. And if you say apples make a great snack, you're saying all of the apples make a great snack. You could eat any of them. Okay, now the next one is you do not use or you use a no article before what we call abstract nouns, um, such as feelings and or ideas. So what's an abstract noun? So the word abstract means something that you can only think about and isn't something that you can physically touch, right? We can't touch a feeling, right? We can't touch sadness. You can't hold anger, right? And an idea. If you have an idea or a thought, if you're thinking something, you can't like hold it in your hands like you can hold a shoe or you can hold a book or a pen. So that's when it's abstract, what we call abstract. So if you're using a noun that is a feeling or an idea, you do not use an article. So for example, if I said when someone feels the sadness, I don't know how to help. What's wrong with this? We can't use the before sadness because sadness is a feeling, right? It's an abstract noun. It's a feeling. So we can't, point to a specific one and say that sadness or um, I need a sadness. It doesn't work because it's not something you can pick up and hold. So when someone feels sadness, I don't know how to help. So that's how you would say that is you would not use the. So whenever we think about, what do I need, the, a, or an? Um, you have this like list to go through, be like, am I talking about something specific? Am I talking about one of something, but just any of those things? This is another thing you can add. Think, am I using, am I talking about a feeling or an idea? Right? If I'm doing that, then I don't need to use the, a, or an. So it's good. So when someone feels sadness, I don't know how to help. Now, the next one, the patience is a virtue. Now, this one is wrong too because we put the patience. Patience is a feeling. It's an idea, right? It's something that you can do as a person, but with your mind. So we don't need the because we can't hold it or touch it, right? Patience is a virtue. That's how you would say it. You don't need to say the patience, the sadness. It's patience is a virtue. So that's what you need to think about when you are saying, "Ooh, I don't know if I use the, a, or an." The other thing you need to think about is, do I even need one? Am I talking about a feeling? Am I talking about um, a group or a general category, right? So that's the other things that you need to think about when you're saying, okay, I need to figure out if I need to use the word the. Um, that's all you got to do really for articles. So if you have a noun, think, okay, do I need to have a the, a, or an in front of it? And then sometimes you won't even need to use any of those. So that's it for our lesson today. And tomorrow I'll do a big review and we'll practice, what you can use when you think about, okay, am I going to use the? Am I going to use a? Am I going to use an? Just to help us practice. And I will see you in the next lesson.